Hello, welcome to the Build Show. My name is Potter. So, one sec. So, I know that we talk about drip a lot on the show, and sometimes we don't always want to talk about that because there's nothing to talk about. So, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about AI because I use it every day, multiple times a day, and I kind of want to get you guys in the mindset of how it's working and how I'm changing from just a user to somebody who is understanding it, and my mind is changing as I use it. So let's get to it. Hello, folks. So, again, welcome to the show. I don't need to give the normal. This is not financial advice because we're not going to do any financial advice. I wanted to talk about AI and what is it good for in the ways I've been using it. So when I originally started using it, I started using Jasper AI. Jasper AI was a creation bot that could kind of help you write articles, and it was just so hard, not horrible. It was good because I was talking with something, but I began to have more philosophical conversations like, isn't a plane a time travel machine? And then it would argue with me, and then it would see my point. I would want to fix something. If it was pre-2021, I could work with it, and understand it. But it really sucked when it came to making it work to troubleshoot. It was just, it wouldn't give you the information that you wanted. It would give you information that it thought it understood. Since that time, it's evolved, and ChatGPT 4 is really more of a helper. You can copy files into it. It's called Code Interpreter. This is the plus version. It's got far more space. But I'm just seeing it evolve and how it's going to affect people's jobs. And it really is. It's going to make it so that a lot of jobs just aren't needed because you have bodies right now filling seats to do clerk work. And back in the day when you needed people feet to take X folder to X filing cabinet, or you wanted to call someone to bring you X file, that was one thing. But now you don't need manpower anymore. You just need the ability for the person thinking to say something to their computer and for the computer to give you the data back. Miscommunication fixed ChatGPT. I always promise that. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to forget what that meant. I have no idea why I said that. Miscommunication fixed ChatGPT. I don't know. Oh, okay. So let me put it this way. Everybody who's working has a boss. And let's say that every time you turn in your work, the boss is like, this isn't what I was looking for. In ChatGPT 4, you can go understanding your boss. You can go and figure out what kind of personality they have. Write that in as the profile to tell ChatGPT, answer as if this is important to me. Then put in their criteria for what they're asking you to do, and it can spit it out for you. Now, what a lot of people are having problems with is understanding what the technology is. So like if I had to go back, work for somebody in a cubicle, they wouldn't be accepting towards AI. 1 second, I got a message. What's up, Moses? Hashtag cream, that's right, creamsicle. Also, and this is all highly important to blockchain as well as AI itself. It helps to feed or for you to understand why uh, why AI mixed with blockchain is so important. And if you're watching this stream, uh, you're you're ahead of the curve trying to get in front of it, right? So I tell people like this: Gen Z's grandkids, they're going to be smarter than their grandparents at probably the age of 3 to 6 years old. Because as we're finding out as humans, there's not a lot that we think about. The bonus for ChatGPT is it can plug in, or these large language models, is that they can plug in to the thought of people all at once, right? You gotta read a book. It's already read the book and still has that in memory. If we want to create something new, we've got to go wait for a class. It's got all the classes in there. It's got all the theory in there. So the grandkids are going to be smart, because right now, when kids go to parents and they say, "How does a door work?" They go, "I don't know." And the best thing you could do is go Google it, but that's not going to work, because you're going to get a bunch of ads. You're going to get sites that are created by AI that just show you what you're looking for, but it's really more of an ad. So they used AI to just make you scroll down so it can display images, right? So my belief is that since your grandkids are going to be smarter than you, it's probably a good idea to have a leg up. And I think the leg up is using, AI to get us there. Yeah. So this goes into what I was saying earlier about, so to fight to stand still, in case you're just listening to this, backfiring on workers. Because what you're seeing is a proclivity to say, you know what, I don't want to do AI because I'm worried about privacy. I'm worried about my data being exposed. People don't know what they're doing, and that's a good concern. However, with people coming into AI more and more, if you don't incorporate it into your business process, you're going to be behind the curve, and people can't understand that. You remember the day when you'd look for a job and people they didn't have internet? It's like, you don't have internet at your desk? No, we expect people to do internet at home. It's like, okay, now you can't find that. And that's going to be with AI, because why would you keep your employees from doing the most efficient job possible, right? And one of the places I think that you're going to see this happen first is in municipalities. Going back to the clerk example, I don't need a body to go get that file or go upstairs or go downstairs. I just need the information. So you're going to see people who are like, if you're watching the show now, probably like you, who are up on this technology. Those are the people who are going to be needed to fill jobs. And you can see that. I think that there's an AI job for prompt writing or prompt understanding, which means that who's ever writing it doesn't know what they want. But these jobs are going for $800,000 a year, right? You still got to have a boss, though. And for $800,000 a year, they're going to expect you to jump when they say jump. But I think for $800,000 a year, a lot of people would be like, how high again? Do I need to go get more shoes? I've got the money. So the only negative I saw with that, we got a message. Oh, the dinosaur days. Yep. Right? So I was watching this YouTube video that was showing this guy. He's just going down the streets of Philadelphia. And not in the best areas. It's still in Philadelphia. You can still see a major highway. And the amount of litter, people just standing on the street, asleep, over like zombies, and you realize that, people can't take their kids down the street, right? Who's going to have their kids walk when they're going to be walking by zombies, right? And you see people on the street with blankets, just laying on the street. You see the tracks going over. The negative part about saying that kind of stuff is that knowing what AI is going to bring, business, in my experience, has been slow to do anything that doesn't protect their investment without caring about the people. And people just aren't trained. So, like right now, you're watching a YouTube video that you can probably read what that says. Some people are still illiterate. They don't know anything about a computer. They wouldn't know how to get YouTube. They wouldn't know how to set up an ID. And as these people come online, that's another show, but the criminals are just like, waiting for them because they're ignorant of everything. So when I got laid off in 2009, I went to a post office and there was this guy in line. I didn't want to go in, talk to people. What? Why would I do that? So I was waiting at the machine, and he couldn't operate the stamp machine. Like, it was like a computer to him. He didn't understand it. It wasn't like a cigarette machine, like you see in Europe. It was more of a vending machine. You didn't just say C6 and hit the button. You had to go through some screens, and I thought in 2009, I was like, wow, that guy doesn't understand a computer. That's not good. Add AI, and there's a big hole that opens up with knowledge. You're in it because you're watching the show, right? So you get it enough, but there's people who can't even fathom the idea that I can create a profile of a person who is a boss and know exactly what they like, type in something that they want and have it tailored so that when the person reads it, they go, yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about. There needs to be more people like you. So for example, I got a request from a Patreon yesterday, and it was a complex request, and without even having to pay much attention to their request, I copied and pasted. I asked one clarifying question. I copied and pasted that. And I told AI, hey, because this is very complex and it's not organized, can you put this into a concise thought? And because I wanted to take the comment that it would prepare and paste it back to say, is this what you were saying? Because what I told AI was, the reason I'm asking you to clarify this is because I'll be asking for your help to complete the task. So not only did it clarify it, it gave me everything that he wanted, right? But I refined it. So what I find is that I'm taking things, my mind is evolving as I use AI, because there's just so much little work that you don't need to do anymore. You just don't need to. Remember back in my day, you'd hear something on TV, somebody would use a word, and you'd be like, oh, I need to go find out what that word was. Hold on one second. You can't pause the TV. Go through the dictionary. Okay, there's, all right, S-A-C. Like you look up your word, that was going to sacrifice. Come on, Drip. I got to bring up something, Drip, right? So, and then it moved to, you could say it on your phone. You could type it in Google engine. It would give you a display. Then you could talk to it, and then it would tell you it back. But sometimes that didn't fit it. But now you can go to, especially with the OpenAI tool on the mobile app, you don't have to type. You can just tap the pad and talk to it. The brilliant part about when you tap the pad and talk to it, like you can talk like you're talking to anybody. And it's not like Siri, or it's not like your Android. I don't know what they use on Android. it literally takes your conversation, whatever you're saying, and it reorganizes the words for you so that when you hit the send button back to the AI engine, it's taking your thought. So now you can say, hey, what was that word? Just tell you the word, boom, hit play again, and you're golden. What about this? What about somebody who is, in an entry-level job, and now they're out on the street and they want to learn a new task? And there's all kinds of YouTube videos. Well, why don't you just take your YouTube video? You have to have Plus to do this, but I think that there's other sources out there. I think maybe Claude might do it. I haven't tested it yet, but let me show you how my mind has evolved. Because the same thing was available to me when plugins first came out, but I didn't think about it until yesterday. Oh, okay, it was a few days ago. But let's say you want to learn something. You can take the URL for what you want to learn, put that in the ChatGPT, give it the instruction of, hey, I want you to be an expert at everything in this video. What it does is it goes out and it reads the subtitles from the video. And then when you're in the class, versus copying and pasting or re-explaining what the instructor said, which is what I've had to do for months as I learn new things, I'm like, what is he saying? All right, I understood that. Make it in the analogy of a football team, preferably one Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and give me an analogy for it, right? You can just... And so there's no stuck point anymore. When you would, as a developer, when you get stuck, you go to Google, you go to Stack Overflow and get yelled at. It was hard. You would get, that's what she said, that you would just get stuck for hours, if not days. And so when I was programming with AI originally, it was just so bad at troubleshooting. Right? But now I have the videos to go with it. I have multiple videos to go with it. And so who thinks like this? Like, until I said this to you today, you were like, oh, hey, that's a good idea. But how do you do it? There's a lot of mistakes that you can make. There are plugins that you can get that are criminal and will take your idea versus trying to give you help on it. So you have to know all of that stuff. Now, the people who are coming in who are entry level or just leaving homelessness, there's no training. You guys are watching training. This is an advanced class in AI, and how to use it for your advantage. Oh, got a message. Go to that next. Hey, Lene Wozel. So I know that this isn't, your typical drip stuff, but remember, we have to have more than only talking about drip. If you want to find out about drip, you can go pretty much anywhere. No, it would be a little bit like Forex, so I don't want to talk about drip. But so developing with AI assistants, now you have Copilot, you have ChatGPT. I still think the code interpreter in ChatGPT is superior because it's been learning more. It seems like OpenAI is decoupling a lot from Microsoft, and Microsoft is starting to develop their own engine. So when you're developing with AI and you have these assistants, it's great when you're telling it, hey, create all of this stuff for me, do everything. But you'll hear this refrain. If you don't know what you're doing and you create an app, you don't understand a full stack environment, you're creating something that's going to have bugs in it that will be exploited. It's not kinda. Like one of the things that I don't know if you guys have noticed, but on a lot of blockchain rollouts now, they're not saying, hey, we were audited anymore, right? It's because, one, we learned that the auditors were criminals, some of the auditors were criminals, and taking the IP and saying, hey, I'm going to create this app under a pseudonym, and I have your code. And I know it looks exactly like it because you gave it to somebody. Not only that, when they were troubleshooting it, you had to explain to them how your code worked. So, but with AI, you don't need that anymore. You can check function by function. You can put all of your code now in an AI engine. It can run it in virtual memory. And so it's working with it like you are. The best way, in my opinion, to work with AI is to visualize stuff and not try to do the whole rote, memorize, and repeat. That doesn't work in this. It is so close to Star Trek-y, it's ridiculous. I'm in the IT field, so love hearing about AI and new technology. Lene, oh my God, my guy. So I hope that you run with what I'm telling you today, because if you're in IT, your level of intelligence is more than sufficient to become a beast or a theoretical genius, because there's questions that you have, right? When you want to learn something, you're like, man, I don't want to ask anybody that. Even though my question is several layers deep, I have to look stupid to get past the other layers to get to the real meat of the question. And so when I talk to AI a lot, and I'm talking about a concept that I know it's going to be politically correct on or have parameters that define it, I can just ask really stupid questions, like, okay, what's a bus then? And then slowly lead it down the path. Like this week, I was watching, because I'm a YouTube sailor. I'm very much, I cruise all the time around the world on YouTube. And so this guy was fixing his diesel engine. And I was like, he said that the diesel engine kind of purified itself. So I was like, it purifies itself. So I looked it up, and I don't have my phone with me. There's a cleaning component to it, but the way the guy was explaining it, I gave him credit for putting in a system that he didn't have. So when I replayed the video and he said what it was doing, I was like, you don't even understand the tech. Like, it's just like the Matrix. I know Kung Fu. It's crazy. So Lene, use AI. You can use Open AI. I think what was it called? I think it's Open AI Assistant. Or it's AI Assistant. There's Claude, which is rapidly catching up. But let me tell you, Claude has a little bit of a personality. Claude's like, I don't know. I don't know. You better go ask somebody else. And then it'll spit out a little bit of information. Claude definitely is not for the faint at heart who just want answers. ChatGPT, if you go, hey, so do doors fly? ChatGPT would go, interesting. Although doors don't fly, Claude would be like, no, dummy. No, it doesn't. But Claude would go, there's no proof of doors flying. It's very direct. So you have one that treats you like, you're in AI kindergarten, and one that treats you like you're in middle school. Forex made an appearance. Hey, yeah, I just got out of a meeting, and I'm gonna go into another meeting. It's gonna be huge. Let's pull this together. What would AI do to fix drip? Oh, Greg, you ask a wise question. I am going to recreate drip. Not that it's going to work, but I think of drip as a utility tool, not just a money maker. I think of it as a fundraising tool. I think of it as a payroll system. So how am I need to build drip in a sandbox, but I have to do it so freaking slow because I need to understand everything that works with it. It's not, you have to understand the reservoir. You can't just build the drip decks without building the reservoir, without building DDD. And in my opinion, trying to develop that as a sole developer without AI would take me 4 times the time that I'm even saying. But when I first got into drip, Forex was saying things that weren't true about it. Stunna was, Ray was, everybody, because we didn't know. Like, if you go back to some of the videos, people were like, I don't know. Even up to the anniversary, everybody was on eggshells because we were like, is this thing, like, does it expire in 365? We didn't think so. But you couldn't tell until it actually happened, right? So, I forgot where I was going with that. That was like a traumatic point. But getting back to putting it all together, you have to understand everything. So now AI is so big. Like, before, you could even put in half the contract. Now you can put it in the entire contract. Now, what I'd like to do is take all of the different contracts, and if I'm doing this, the bad guys are too, but put it all into, different engines. Like, let's say I have 3 different instances of, I load one instance of the contract into AI, just from a teaching perspective, and I do it 2 more times to get all of the other ones. Now, I can't have Chat GPT or any chat engine say, okay, if I want to call this function and it's doing this, it'll work. So I'm trying to almost put together a program that re-engineers all contracts so that anybody can work with them and understand them and point out the dangers of doing it. Because if I created another drip, my drip would still talk to the native DEX. It would be paramount. Just don't want to build another DEX. I don't want another drip out there. I just want drip on other chains so that it can still continue to add utility across chains. And since this is a community project, I think that Forex would lean more on us, right? So you take all of I think what you're going to see is, as people do what I'm talking about more, they're going to take these components and start making them work and understand them better and create utilities that are quicker. Like, the first thing I want to make is still that idle game. The idle game, I'm already starting in Unity. I've already opened it. I'm still working with the large language models, and it's all coming together. But it's just going to take time. Yeah, I fiddled with ChatGPT a bit. Was blown away by how it was able to help me write scripts that within a week. Yeah. And, if you're using Code Interpreter, even better. So, I think this was actually. Where's your message? I think this was something actually from an old show. So I think I was done, and I just added more on. So guys, that's really it. I think it's important that I keep updating you guys. Part of me wants to show you, what I'm developing, but I haven't found a cohesive way to put that all together where I can show you the screen and what I'm typing. Because right now it's us, just talking together. So it's hard to figure out what you'll want. But the more that I develop the code, the more I will share what I'm doing, because I think everything should be open source. And if somebody can take my idea, okay. In DeFi, we're learning quickly. DeFi is the real world. There are people who will steal your money. Like, look at what happened to the football player who had his conservatory thing, and look at Britney Spears with the same thing. There are bad people out there. Bad people steal movie scripts. Bad people steal technology ideas. It's just, if you can make it better and you're the founder of that idea, you're always going to have a margin ahead of them. The greats greatness has always been decided when somebody said, okay, you were back here, now you caught up to me. Now you're trying to say, I want to jump on you and buy you. But you go, no, my pride says I can outrun you. But if they caught up to you and they're offering you, it might be a good idea to say, I think I'll take that, and then I'll go create something where you're ahead, and then I have to catch up to you, and then you'll buy that, and so on and so forth. I hope visually you saw that. It's always awesome to talk to you guys. I look forward to revealing the drip revelations tomorrow. This is the show that it's a smaller group, so I really do appreciate you showing up. because it's not always just about drip. And that means that you guys kind of like hearing what I'm saying, which makes me appreciate you more. We've got a room of like 60 people who come in this little group. So I think 60 people is cool. And I don't ask that you like, subscribe, or follow because we're following enough. And I pretty much do what I want. So, people who ask for you to like and subscribe, you should, but I don't have the same motivation. Doesn't make me greater, makes me different, which I think if you're watching me, you already know. There's something weird going on there. All right, guys. I love you very much.